Okay, so let me see, make sure this is all right. It is June 28th of 2025. Early in the morning. Now, I can only do what I can in a day. Nothing more, nothing less. Obviously, the more energy I have, the more I get done. So, in the meantime, I had that MLA office call me back. Asked me how that letter was going, right? And I'm like, oh, it's just this, I haven't had a chance. So, since that phone call, I've been thinking, right? And I'm like, okay, how do you do this? Where you make an impact, you know? I know I want to write 2 to 4 pages in a nutshell. Right? But then on the other hand, so much is gonna be missing. Oh, the house is cold. Bloody cold. So much so much more needs to be said. Only okay. So how do I deal with that issue? Well, as I'm working on my playlist, I'm back in 2017. Okay. I want to finish it and be done with it and get on to the next one. I'm listening to the videos and I'm just kind of generally typing out about what I'm talking about, what I've been doing, what I was doing, how I was feeling, what was going on at the time. From video to video that's pertinent to the yard, basically. Because that's what is being used against me, people. Okay? It's been used against me from the moment I moved in. I just didn't see it. I didn't understand it. I wasn't prepared for it. I just dealt with it. Okay. So, I just wanted to say I kind of figured out what I'm going to do here in terms of, whatever my son does, my son does. Right now, one mouse is being used as a means to manipulate the situation where I'm expected to get rid of more of my stuff, so ultimately it frees up more space for them downstairs, okay, as the reason as to why there could be one mouse in the house so far, or one or two, because my son said he found one, a few months ago, dead on the ground. But then I think he put out mouse poison. So if he did put out mouse poison, and mice are eating it, they will come out looking for water. Okay, so it wouldn't be unusual to find something dead on the floor from eating poison, right? Unless a cat brought it in, because cats bring in mice and those rats and whatever. Okay. And that was like, 3 or 4 months ago he mentioned that to me. And that was just one. And it was apparently in the bathroom. And then I guess just yesterday, I think it was yesterday, because he called me up in a panic. Because Marina called him and said, oh my God, mouse, I don't know if the mouse is dead. I don't know if she's seen the mouse run away. I don't know. All I know is that he called me up yesterday morning and said that there was a mouse and that I needed to pay to get an exterminator in here, or at least help pay. At first, in the very beginning, when we were going on with the rat situation, he wanted me to pay for everything. Right? And I was willing to do something, providing it was feasible, right? You heard it in the last video. Whatever was up there chewing disappeared, and it hasn't been there for over a month. And personally, I think the cats caught it, because they're always catching something outside. There's 3 of them on patrol, right? Not to mention all the other cats in the neighborhood. And then, yeah, there was a mouse. So, you know, at first I said, well, you know, like, what about the traps and the poison? And you go, oh, okay, so whatever. Being rude to me, whatever. I said, yeah, okay, I'll pay whatever. I don't care. Fine. And then I wanted to talk to him to confirm that, okay, if we're going to do this, I want house maintenance done to prevent these rodents from getting inside the house through cracks and crevices, whether they're between the wall of the basement cement with the wood, right, so they crawl underneath, whether it's coming in through up by the meter reading box, the dryer vent. They can crawl in through underneath door, like, you know, door frames. You have a door, like my back door, for example. This black sliding door, there's a gap in it like this. Easy for a mouse to get in. When winter is here, the wind blows through it, it gets really cold. Things mold up around here, like in the kitchen and shit because of it. But besides that point, or they go in from underneath the door frame. If there's gaps underneath the door frame, they can get in that way. And soffits, they can get in from underneath the soffits, people. And that's like where the roof meets the soffit. Right? There's multiple places for them to get in. There's no point in trying to get rid of those things if you don't do that type of house maintenance to prevent them from getting in. Right? Well, but the landlord should do that. Yeah, okay, I know, but you honestly think they're going to do that? No, they're going to blame me for it. Oh, well, she got too much stuff. Now we need to gut the inside, make it really easy on us to kick her out because so-and-so said. Right? As my son's going, oh, well, she's blind. She can't do anything. She doesn't even sleep good. Yeah, let's kick the bitch out because I want to be set free from the fucking water drainage out there problem the next time it rains, but I just don't want to talk about that because, you know, that's too much of an issue to think about what else might be bothering you besides maybe a mouse. Right? So I wrote in the video that's being uploaded right now that maybe my son is tired getting up at 4:30 in the morning when it's freaking raining out there and the garage is starting to flood. How about that? My landlords, you know, they came by, they looked in the drain, and of course things get in it, right? Because it's right, so you have to clear it out all the time. All the time. Oh, well, you know, clear it out. Well, as if we don't already do that. That's not the problem. The problem is, at this point, at some point this year, before the rains come, the drain itself needs to have a special kind of plumber come with a special kind of snake that can actually clean out the fucking pipe. Okay? Because of the roots that are growing from the tree up by the alley in the driveway. Where Alex, when he came that day, when it flooded, and it was all going into the basement, under the fucking floorboards, into the living room, people, into the kitchen, people, under the floorboards. As if that's my problem. I created that. No, I did not create that problem, people. I've been dealing with this freaking problem. Anyway, my son, he's like on it, right? The rain comes, he's opening and closing the door. I'm looking, Andre's running around. All our hearts are going like this because we never fucking know when it's going to back up. Okay? I already told my landlord that we need a better sump pump. It's like, it's going to cost about $750. The one that we have, we only paid $150 for it. It's not strong enough to pump out the amount of water that pools into the garage. Even if that drain is freaking draining because Alex came and put a little 1/4 inch hole through a root that technically needs to be rotor-rooted out by a different freaking machine, by a different plumber, because Alex doesn't have that machine. Do you think my landlords will pay for that? No. They come, they look, oh, right, clean it out. Yeah, we clean it out. How do you think we survive in this house when it freaking rains? You don't think that my son doesn't get fucking tired of that shit? I don't get tired of this shit. Andre, right, living in perpetual fucking fear every time it freaking rains around here. Pleading and begging to snake out the freaking drain so that we don't have to worry about it. Alex said, cut down that tree. We've been asking since October of last year when this shit fucking flooded down there, and they were, I don't know where they were in India. I think Mrs. Gill was in India. I don't know. They were in India. Anyway, and we're running around out there at 5:30 in the freaking morning in the dark, right? Alex comes finally by 6, and he does what he does because he had the proper equipment. And my landlord didn't even want to pay $100 for that, to pay for his time. Told me to pay for it because I don't pay enough rent. We have the same issue. It's just a different pile of whatever, right? Okay, I'm getting worked up so early in the morning. But anyway, because they trivialize, they know what they need to do because Alex spoke to Mrs. Gill. You need to do this. You need to get it properly snaked out at some point. You need to cut down that tree because right now it's dormant, but come spring it's going to start growing again. Now we're in the height of going into summer. It's just going to keep growing. So it's just a matter of time before that freaking root clogs up the fucking drain again. And it doesn't matter how much you clear out whatever it is the landlords are telling us to clear out as if that's going to solve the problem. It's going to get clogged way up there by the road, right? I've been asking her for months, every now and then, are you cutting down the tree? Did you get the permit to cut down the tree? Right? You know what I'm saying? You need to go get the permit so Marcane can cut down that fucking tree. No, instead, all she's telling Marcane to do is cut down the walnut tree. She's not giving a damn about that other tree. Nobody's coming with a freaking permit to cut down that tree. Nobody's offering to snake out that fucking drain, right? We all know what's going to happen that live here, right? You know what I'm saying? They won't help to pay for a better sump pump. No, they just say clean out the fucking top part of the drain where all the needles and the mud and the pine cones and it all goes, right? And you have to constantly, fucking try and whatever. But at the end of the day, we know what the problems are and they're not paying for it, people. And you can't even use the back freaking driveway anymore without Mrs. Gill showing up with pictures with 4 bags of fucking pop bottles sitting there waiting to be loaded up into my son's truck to take it to the recycling bin. And all of a sudden it becomes a fucking heat score. Yeah, okay. With threats that if we don't get rid of them within 2 days, the city's going to come and do what the city does. Right? Yeah, wouldn't you get frustrated with that bullshit? You do everything that he worked really hard in the freaking middle of winter, being the Hulk, moving things that were completely unnecessary, took away all my work material, took away my fucking tools, took away my grandchildren's play equipment, took away my planter pots, killed my fucking trees. You know what I'm saying? Just destroyed everything, okay, basically, and then come and say it's still not enough to get rid of antique chairs and tables and all more planter pots. And for what? So that you can't use your driveway? You don't think my son's not afraid to put anything out in that freaking driveway now because of what might happen? So if he wants to move, I'm sure it's more than just a mouse, okay? As the quote-unquote excuse, if you want to dig deep and pull it up and analyze it, all right? You don't think that shit doesn't breed frustration in the house where we start to fight because we're so overstressed with being flooded out every who knows when, not to mention that pipe in the freaking laundry room is going to start backing up pretty soon because it's like clockwork every 9 to 15 freaking months, even after what they fucking did out there. You know what I'm saying? When they broke the mainline pipe, when they tried to quote unquote fix the drain, and they broke the mainline pipe as they were busting up the bloody bathroom. And then they had me go out and with the whip on my back, working in the fucking front, laying down walkway 2 times for the second time to cover up the big mess that the plumbers made. After I covered up the sand, the grit, and the gravel rocks, the raccoon shit, and the fucking morning glory. Right? My son doesn't think I don't want to move. You don't think I don't get tired of this freaking bullshit? I'm looking at a video from 2017. I'm exhausted. You can see it in my face. And I'm talking about having to go back outside. Even though I was outside the day before, and I had already started in freaking April, long before the city was called on me again for building a shed to try to put my grandchild's, my Andre's freaking toys into the shed to get them away from the elements because they kept being rained on with the grit and just the slime and everything attaching, and I'm washing, constantly washing. I built a fucking shed. It wasn't going fast enough. I had a lot of freaking problems in this yard. Nobody was there to help me, as I had no money, and I was paying men, fucking homeless men, because that's what my landlady was. Oh, go get a homeless man to help fix the fucking gutter. Make it real cheap. Give him $25 to fix the fucking gutter. As if I'm going to find a homeless man $25 and pay him $25 to fix the fucking gutter. I did find some guy. I paid more than that. I lost $150 because he ripped down went and bought pipes, whatever. Nothing got fixed. Finally, I had to tell him to get out of here because he was making a big freaking mess. I paid for that, lost the money on that. Nothing got fucking fixed. It never has been fixed. And it never was my responsibility in the first place. It's still not my responsibility. But it creates a lot of water problems when you don't have proper gutter drainage. Just like it creates a lot of problems if the pipe that's problematic in the freaking driveway isn't freaking dealt with in a professional kind of way, where it's being snaked out and clear out that fucking root as maybe you cut down the tree on the advice of an experienced plumber that told you what the problem was. But instead you want to just look at a little spot where everything comes. I'm sorry, we didn't clean it as fast as you showed up. Like, we don't clean it every freaking day. It's not raining right now. But shit still gets, maybe there was, who knows? But that's not the problem. The problem is the pipe itself and what's growing up at the top of the freaking road there as it meets the city pipe. Oh. So whatever, I don't care. Just, it pisses me off, people. You can run, but you can't hide. That's the way I see it. Yeah. Run, but you can't freaking hide. I ain't running. I am going to start working on this 3 to 4 page letter for the MLA. Right? Once I start, I'm pretty good. It's just a matter of sitting down and doing it. Once I start typing, it all comes fast. And as a complimentary to what I'm writing, okay, in that 2 to 4 page letter to my local MLA, which I will probably forward to other MLAs, okay? Maybe even to the opposition as well. Those MLAs, okay? I don't know what they call themselves now, but besides that point. And then, as soon as I'm done with this, with 2017, what I'm working on right now, I'm going to add that in with my letter as documentation to what I'm talking about in that letter. Not only in written form, but you can go look at the freaking video yourself and hear it from the horse's mouth. And when I say I'm not feeling very well in those videos, you can see it in my freaking face, okay? Where was my son then? I was holding down the fort so he had a place to live. And if he wants to bail ship now, because he's being needled, I'll deal with it. That's all I gotta say. Okay, so I'm just going to keep this little video short. Whatever I talked about prior to this is that. And that's in regards to if shit hits the fan and my son decides to move out, yada yada yada. Okay, and how I'm going to deal with that situation. Okay? And as I'm working on my playlist, can you just stay quiet? Lower your voice for a minute, please. As I'm working on my playlist here for 2017, oh, you know, I'm listening to my videos, right? And I'm making note of what I'm talking about, and I'm putting them into various playlists and yada yada yada. And whatever I'm working on for this year of 2017, I'm sending it to the MLA's office, right along with my 2 or 3, 4 page letter. So I'm going to have my letter that I'm going to type out in condensed form, 1, 2, 3, right? I'm going to list the years where the city of Surrey had that whip on my back. 2015, that was the big one, was soup, that was a year long. Then 2017, right, that dragged out for months and months and months with a lot of fear factor in there. Had me working in the yard until I was exhausted, even though I'd already been working in the yard before they showed up. And then they kept the whip on my back for quite a long time with that fear factor. Okay? And then I'm pretty sure it was again in 2020. And then in 2022. And then in 2025. Okay? Because it's a pattern. Because it's like they have a case. Just like when the last time this happened, they said, that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next time you're out. Well, okay, fine. But let's take a deeper look at it, okay? And see why things were the way they were in terms of what I'm doing, okay? That's what I'm trying to say. So anyway, as I'm doing this, Uncle John's story keeps popping up here, people. And I've said it in the past. Wherever I go, he's coming with me. And honest to God, that's the truth. As whatever I'm doing right now, however long it takes, because I got the phone call from the MLA office asking me if I had completed my letter yet, and I'm like, no, I never even got a chance to start it yet because of all this drama that keeps popping up around me. And then Amari had a seizure and blah 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 blah, and you know, and you know, it's just, it is what it is, and I got to get outside here like soon. I told Andre we got to go outside and start working outside, and once I start working outside, things on the inside come to a screeching halt. But I told him, like, you're just gonna have to help me with the dishes, you know, take the laundry, whatever it is, because, you know, if we don't get outside and start doing something outside, that's it. It's just going to start up again. They're going to use it against me, people, one way or another. They're going to use it against me, this yard, because that's been the pattern. And that's the point of sending this to the MLA office, because it becomes tenant harassment. So the landlords can remove old tenants to bring in new tenants to raise the rent and start the process all over again until they have no use for that tenant, and then evict them to bring it until the house is torn down and nobody has any housing. Okay, like, it's bigger than the landlords when it comes to when you get thousands of people not having access to affordable housing. That's a serious problem, right? Right? So, and then, of course, you know, all the little things that happen in the middle, like the medical kidnapping of a loved one from your home, the illegal apprehension of a vulnerable child that was done, which through that apprehension was illegal. They like to call it wrongful, as if it wrongful takes away from the legal act of what they did, but it's a government, so they're always going to cover their bases, right? And try and smooth things over, whitewash it, put it under the rug, throw it out of court, whatever it is. I've done my due diligence. I'm the only one, like my son, like for example, if he decides to move, so be it. You go ahead, you move. But don't think that you can groom Andre to move with you and then abandon me so you can come back and say, well, you can't do anything anymore because you can't see, you can't. Well, you don't know what I'm capable of, first of all. And if you're that way, that you just want to walk away, run away from your problems, walk away from your problems, justify it however you want to fucking justify it, that's, so be it. I can deal with that, right? But you're not going to bamboozle me, that's for sure. So, being that I fought for Sierra when she needed me there for her, when she was pregnant with Andre, I was the only one. I did it. When they took Andre illegally, I was the only one who fought for him the way I fought for him. I did it. When they medically kidnapped Andre, stop it. When they medically kidnapped Uncle John, what did I do? I took it to the court. I filed a lawsuit against Fraser Health Authority, CIBC Bank. Okay, I wasn't experienced enough to go and follow through and push it into, what is that called? Appeal court or whatever. Why? Because the city came in through the back door, put the whip on my back, gave me an ultimatum: keep your ass out there, slave, work like a dog until you practically drop dead, because if you don't, we're going to come in, take your stuff, which we're going to take anyway, and we're going to fine your landlord thousands and thousands of dollars, as your landlord is coming to you saying, well, you're costing me $5,000 if you don't do this, get the hell out. Because in the back of her mind, all she's thinking about is really, honestly, if she was honest with herself, is the fact that she could raise the rent the minute she got me out. But because I went out there and I forfeited working on the lawsuit with Uncle John in terms of the hours that I spent in the yard, if I could take those same hours and I would have been able to apply them to the lawsuits with Fraser Health Authority and CIBC Bank, and taken my ass downtown looking for people to actually help me, because I'm on a video right now where I talk about a dream that I had with him, people. And you have to remember, they took Uncle Marcaine. They took Uncle John in February of 2000. They technically took him the second day he ended up in the hospital, because his sister from Victoria, a professional nurse that's employed with the government for 40 years as a senior manager to the immunization program for this province for all healthcare workers. Okay, just can you hold on a minute? Okay, they jumped on it the next day. Even when I went to interview Uncle John, as they had him all doped up on the bed, and he was just coming out of being doped up with OxyContin and all that crap, and he told me to fight for him and to bust him loose from that hospital, that he wanted to just come home and not be whatever it was that they were suggesting that they were going to do to him, without even telling him what the hell was wrong with him. And he had only been there a few days, okay? And he's telling me on camera to take it to fight for him. Okay, and I did, people, and I'm still actually fighting for him. Anyway, I had a dream a few months after the fact, because he was taken, he disappeared. He disappeared on February 23rd of 2015. I'm not exactly sure when the city of Surrey showed up with the whip on the back with Sook in 2015. I don't know if it was in March or April, but when they showed up, I'm telling you, they had me in the yard for a year. Every video that I've been listening to, I've been saying over a year. They've had me working in the yard. I have videos of me in the pouring rain, drenched from head to toe, sopping wet, moving wood from one pile to another pile at the direction of Sook, a city worker. Okay? And that was like in the fall, after, with the whip on my back, having to fix up the mess that the plumber ripped up in the front yard when they changed the mainline pipe after they broke it. Okay? And that walkway had already been laid down by me, which took me 4 years to do before they ripped it up in one day. And then at some point in 2015 showed up and told me to get my ass out there and work like a slave with a whip on my back and a chain around my neck until it was done as fast as I could get it done. Not to mention everything else that was going on in this stupid yard. Okay? And don't forget, I had no money because my welfare check was like $600 a month, for crying out loud. Okay? I got left with all the bills. Right? I was denied access to legal documents that I had a right to have at the request of CIBC Bank so that I could take it to a lawyer or take it to court, but I had to wait, I don't know, 16, 17 months before I actually found one honest bank manager who sneaked off and got it for me and gave me a copy of the enduring power of attorney so that by the time I took it to CIBC Bank, they asked me how the hell I got it, because what they did is they went back to that bank manager and they reprimanded him for doing the right thing, because they were trying to cover up their dirt in terms of what they did to Uncle John, which was to put him into a early grave. Because he only lived 3 years after they took him, people. After they took him, they got the money, they got everything signed, sealed, and delivered, and then he just magically died. You know, he didn't fucking just magically died. Okay? Alright, so anyway, I guess I had a dream a few months after he was taken, and he had me running from man to man to man, and he was younger in those days. Okay? I'm listening to it now, and I'm chasing him, right? Because he was younger, and he took me to a young man, and then he took me to another young man, and I'm like, well, what are you trying to tell me, John? You're trying to tell me something. And then next thing you know, he's laying on his stomach with his face like this, right? I'm standing, I'm looking. On the other side of him is a woman with a bowl cut fucking whatever blondish kind of hair. No, you can't have him. He's not getting up. He's staying down, laying on his stomach. That's it. John's mine. And I'm like, well, I don't think so. John wants to get up. John wants to get up. You right? And I'm going to fight for him because that's what he told me to do. But because the city came in and put the whip on my back, they made it very difficult for me to fight for Uncle John. Because if I could have cracked the case, people, if I could have proved in court what the fucking government workers did, right along with the banking institution, it would have put the brakes on for all these elderly people being medically kidnapped in the hospitals as they're going in with broken ankles, lung flus and that type of thing, where social workers that come from different fucking countries that can't barely speak English or whatever determine that they can't go home because they own a house or they have property that the government workers must be getting kickbacks. The more that they can lock them up into the old folks' homes, make them pay for the old folks' homes because they got assets, the more they can freeze up these houses and make them available for the property developers to buy them at a cheap fucking rate because the old person's locked up in the healthcare system and can't go back home. You know what I'm saying? Right? And the house is just sitting there empty and they want to build these funky buildings out here as they're pushing people out onto the freaking streets and then saying it's our fault that we're homeless because we didn't make the right choices. We don't have enough money to pay overinflated freaking rent costs and all this other bullshit crap. It's our fault that the yard is crap, even though we're expected to do extreme yard maintenance with zero fucking support when it comes to landlords, whether financially, whether they're supplying materials, whether there's freaking offering up help. Doesn't matter. You're on your own. You got to do a freaking solo. And then along comes the fucking city. Oh, yeah. So they really distracted me from doing what I needed to do because I'm listening to this video and I'm like, okay, John, now that you reminded me about this, because your voice is going to the MLA office and I'm going to ask the freaking worker that I'm dealing with to look up the lawsuit. Go find the freaking lawsuit and find out what the hell happened to it, because I never got nothing in writing when it came to Fraser Health Authority to say it was gone. Okay? Nothing. There's no closure. Nothing with CIBC Bank. Nothing with Fraser Health Authority. It just didn't up and disappear. So this story that you're getting is a whole lot bigger than Mrs. Gill and her dinky little fucking house in the province of British Columbia, Canada. Okay? Maybe Uncle John just wanted me to keep going from person to person to person. I asked Paul to help me. He did the best that he could, but I couldn't go off and find anybody else to help because I was too busy in the freaking yard because the city of Surrey wanted to keep me fucking busy so that I dropped the ball on Uncle John and so that they could secure their little temporary care ward with what their little operation that was going on with freeing up these houses with, because you know, when Uncle John was in that freaking care facility, the kids, Tisha, Shemay, right? I don't know about Mark Kane, but Tisha and Shemay and myself, we kept coming into contact with elderly people that wanted to go home, but weren't allowed to go home, just like Uncle John, as they were homeowners and they were being forced to sell their freaking houses, people. And once they sold their house, one man was there for 6 months and his house hadn't sold yet. He said that as soon as they sell my house, because they're not letting me go home, I have to pay for every day that I've been in this temporary care ward. You're talking tax dollars there, people, okay? And then once he pays to pay for that bill, because he has money to pay for it, that's why they kept him, not Sierra. They just tossed Sierra out on the road and kept her drugged up and pimped out there. Two different fucking stories, but at the same time, he wasn't the only man in that temporary. There was a little old lady, had Tisha and Shmei wheeling her around, helping her go to the bathroom because the nursing staff wouldn't freaking do it. And she's saying, I want to go home too, but they won't let me go home. No, they had to stay there, sell their house, pay for every day that they stayed there for, and then immediately go from temporary care ward into long-term care with lock and key, and never be released and pay for that. More tax dollars, right? As the houses that these old people owned became available for the property developers to buy up cheap. The realtors to buy up cheap so they can flip it to the property developer, push everybody out into the street, accuse them of this, accuse them of that, treat them this way, harass them that way, frustrate them, lure them to their deaths, get rid of them by any means necessary so they can build their fucking condos. Inferior ones at that. And call that good business. And then go on to the next block. If the city of Surrey wouldn't have done what they done in 2015, I would have had time to go from man to man to man to find the one man to help me to stand up against that bitch that had John on the ground and wouldn't let him get up and was looking at me saying, he ain't getting up. I'm not letting him get up. And I'm like, right now, I'm like, damn, John, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I couldn't be there for you. I still apologize to John to this day for failing him, people. But it's not my fault. I can't control the predators in the community that like to destroy families like mine so that they can profiteer and then run around like fucking tyrants saying, get rid of this, get rid of, you will owe nothing, you will be nothing, you will have nothing. Get used to it. Okay? And you know it's happening all over the place. Why? So I'm like, okay, well, John, your voice is going to the MLA office, and you know I'm going to be forwarding this to more than one MLA office, people. I ain't stopping with one. Hell no. I'm sending to the opposition MLAs, and I'm going to send more to fucking MLAs that are already in government. Is it going to get me anywhere? Oh, probably not. They'll just cover it up. But you know what? Uncle John showed the way. Go from one to the other, to the other, to the other, until you find the one that freaking helps you. Because if the city of Surrey wouldn't have done what they did to me in 2015 after they took Uncle John, because I blame the city in part for that, for not controlling their agencies within their jurisdiction when it comes to kidnapping the elderly for their assets so houses can go up so that the city can approve building permits so they can make more taxes on whatever it is fantasy that they've created. Because whatever they've created is just a fantasy for the majority of people that live in this province, because most of us can't afford to rent them anyway. Okay? And if we do, what do we get? That's a different story. Not anything I want. Okay? They have to bring in the immigrants to fill them up with the subsidies. As long as they get their taxes, they don't care. Right? So I'm like, gee, John, your voice is still at the Parliament buildings. I guess that's what you earned by being a janitor and cleaning up after all those people for 25 years. You're still haunting the halls. And now that I've done this little rant, because that's what it is, because I feel like shit for... I didn't drop the ball, people. I just had the ball stolen away from me by the city of Surrey when they put me in the yard for over a year moving wood in the pouring rain or anything else that I was doing out there in 2015 to distract away from working on the lawsuit with Fraser Health Authority and CIBC Bank. As Uncle John told me through a dream, the way you beat the bitch, the one that's standing over me, because it was bitches that fucking did this to him, okay? It was his sister. It was those workers at the care facility. It was the worker at the freaking, what is that called? Old folks home where once they transported him. Okay, at the end of the day, it was women that wanted to steal his money, and he wasn't strong enough to fight back on his own, being that they drugged him to do it, being that they isolated him and told him that he couldn't see the family because he wasn't well enough, got that on video, to which the government of British Columbia, Canada ignores and calls frivolous. But you know what? That tune, that story, that song, whatever you want to call it, is going to come right back up to the freaking surface. Somebody's going to want to hear about Uncle John's story. Somebody's going to want to pull up those lawsuits and see what the hell happened to them. Somebody might just take it serious and realize that we've got a real freaking problem with the corruption within the housing market and how people are being lured to their death for body parts so that money could be laundered into these fake buildings, and how people are being medically kidnapped so their house, just the whole 9 yards. Just the whole 9 yards. And it's all going to come through Uncle John and his voice. Or at least part of it. Because don't forget, we got Shimei. And then there's Sierra. Right? Sierra died in 2020. The city showed up in 2020. Why are we not surprised? Right? Right? This is right. They're going to show up again. It's just a matter of time. I told Andre we've got to get outside. We have to. We have to. I don't have a choice. Okay? But I'm proud of Uncle John. I'm proud that he still has a voice through me. Yeah. And I'm glad I watched these videos, because I completely forgot about that dream. But I understand it now. What he was telling me was, go as fast as you can, find somebody to listen to you. If they don't listen, go to another one. If they don't listen, in terms of a man, forget the women, go to another man. If he don't listen, go to another one. But I was in the yard by that time. It was a do-or-die situation. I had no choice. My landlord was threatening to fucking evict me because of fines, because of the city. As if everything was my fault out there, when I can prove that the fucking yard was nothing but a nightmare when I first moved in. And it's still a nightmare with the weeds going out of control right now. Yeah. Because it's not like you can take a weed whacker and just start whacking down freaking morning glory. That's the first thing. And even if you whack down the other weeds after you pull the morning glory, it doesn't do anything with the roots. That's why I have to find time to lay down that fabric stuff. As if I got time for that, or energy, or whatever. But it all boils down to a do or die situation. So, I just wanted to say Uncle John has a voice. His voice is coming back up to the surface. Wherever I go, he's coming with me. And his voice is going to be louder than mine. Because these people, I would like to think somebody at the MLA office will read what I wrote. And I'm going to tell them, this is just 1 year. 1 year out of how many years, people? With the same old okie dokie? Only the stakes are getting higher and higher. Andre gets medically kidnapped. Sorry. Andre gets illegally apprehended, wrongfully apprehended, puts the family for a loop. We get him back in 2014 after I fight like a damn dog to get him back. Went to court 22 times in 15 months to get my grandson back. Who does that? Well, I did that. Okay? And then, not even within a year, Uncle John all of a sudden magically disappears. As I'm like on the verge of the brink of being evicted and going bankrupt, and next thing you know it, I'm filing lawsuits, but no, they don't want that because they don't want that story being documented. They don't want that story maybe just getting a good judge and pushing it forward and getting down to the nitty-gritty to root out the criminals within our community. So what did they do? They put the whip on my back and made me work in a yard for a fucking year to silence me. As Uncle John is saying, hey, no, you need to do this, this, and this, but if you, and then because I couldn't, he couldn't get up. And what happened? Wherever they put him, he stayed like that, and he died. But he's not dead yet. You see, that's the thing. He still has a voice, and a loud one at that, because they're going to read the few little things that I wrote. Medical kidnap, lawsuits, Fraser Health Authority, CIBC Bank. Those are very powerful words. Mr. John Duncan, a.k.a. Uncle John, Grandpa John. Very powerful words. Okay? No point in asking me to write the letter, do this, do that, if you're not going to look at that and deal with that problem, because that problem led to this problem that I'm facing soon and have been facing. And not only have I been facing it, it's been held over my head like I'm being held hostage to it to work harder for nothing as I lose everything. There is no balance in what's going on for people below a certain income level. Okay? So, anyway, I miss Uncle John. I'm still fighting for him. I'm still letting people know that he needs justice. And if he should ever get justice, then he'll free other elderly people from the same fate that he experienced. But it's like I said in my video, I'm up against a lot of corruption. Like it's serious corruption. I just have to be strong and stand my ground. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stand my ground. So I'm halfway through 2017. It's very draining. It's very daunting. It gets hurtful. I get emotional. I hear Shemai's voice. I'm hearing about a dream that at that time I couldn't interpret. But now that I think about it and I look back, I'm like, okay, now I understand what you were telling me. Go from man to man to man to man. Fast, 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 fast. Because Uncle John was young. He was I had to kind of chase him, which would have been unusual for me because, he was slow because of his back and eyesight and cane, and so, right, I always had to walk slow with him, right? But in this situation, I was running. He'd take me to a young man, and then he'd take me to and I'm chasing him from man to man to man. And that's what he's telling me. You take it from MLA to MLA to MLA to MLA to MLA to MLA to MLA. If you have to spend $1,000 you do it. Because I'm trying to decide, well, should I set it in paper and spend the money on paper, or should I put it on a flash drive? It's cheaper to put it on a flash drive and hope that they read it versus sending it to them with paper. It's going to cost a whole lot more in paper to get it printed out, especially if you're going to send it to 15, 20 freaking MLAs in the province of British Columbia, Canada. But at the end of the day, if you put it on paper, they can't change it. They can't edit what's on the flash drive. Yeah, because I'm like, well, what if I put it on a flash drive? That's cheaper, right? But then they can edit it if they want. Easy to lose. Oh, well, we didn't get it. It got lost in the mail. Whatever. Put it in black and white. It's easier to work with. Easy if you can speed read. You can check off, right? Because some people speed read, right? You know, it might be harder for them to read it on the internet because it burns out, like on the computer, it burns out your eyes, right? I don't want people changing the narrative. I don't need Rhea coming in and changing everything that I had to say. Because that's, you know, just like she mixed up everything in my room like a freaking meth addict. Every time she came here and sat down and tried to help me with what I wrote, she just changed everything up. I thought, okay, just let it go. But now I think, no, forget it. No. I don't want people changing anything I have to say. Read what I have to say and fucking deal with it, right? Go pull up the lawsuits. Go dig deep for Uncle John's medical files. Go to Victoria, to the Victoria General Hospital, and see what the hell happened there. Dig up his superannuation life insurance policy. Seriously, and I should write that down at the end. At the end of whatever the hell it is that I'm doing, that the government, the current government, as of today, needs to go into Uncle John's government financial statements and find out if somebody within their office, seriously, and I've been saying it since they took him, switched up and falsified his superannuation paperwork, where his crooked sister and loving family in Victoria actually got a payout of a superannuation life insurance policy in John's name. Because if that happened, that was based on fraud. Because I've got the paperwork to prove that he never reinstated that policy after he turned the age of 65. And I got his one and only legitimate will. If they were willing to falsify records through the healthcare system with Fraser Health Authority, they were willing to falsify records through the banking system to steal his inheritance from Joan, who had a superannuation life insurance policy and probably other life insurance policies. You don't think that they're not willing to falsify government superannuation financial files to switch up where Eleanor would get a payment of a superannuation that technically doesn't exist if she could bribe somebody to do it within that department? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So, after I'm done doing 2017, well, no, when I write my little 2 to 4 page letter, I'll introduce Uncle John, saying that at the end, they need to follow up with a thorough investigation. Because if they don't, then you're never going to solve the housing crises. You're never going to solve the corruption in the community. You have to start rooting out the criminals. Right? The participants. And Uncle John's dream said, go from one to the other as fast as you can. To save him from that bald-headed, blonde demon that wouldn't let him get up and be free. And kept him down on the ground, on his stomach, until he basically died. A lonely, old, broken man, and broke. Because you know they took everything away from him. And then they made him pay for his health care. That was the point. While Sierra got the streets and was lured to her death, and then body snatched for body parts, and was used as a tool for a snuff movie. Yeah, we haven't gotten into 2020 yet. And I'm pretty sure the city of Surrey had me out in the yard working then too, to distract away from what they did to my daughter, because they didn't want me bringing it to exposure on my videos with the crooked corner that was an actual robotoid. Remember that video? Yeah. And then who showed up? City of Surrey. And where did they put me? Back out in the yard. With Mrs. Gill running around to threaten to kick me out because it was all my fault. Everything was all my fault. Well, where were you? Why didn't you help? Why didn't you put in money to help? Why didn't you have your son come and help? I pleaded and begged. Whatever. Doesn't matter. It's all water under the bridge now, though, isn't it? But it's documented. That's the point. And I'm going to take that and I'm going to send it from man to man, woman to woman, whatever. MLA to MLA. I just have to decide whether I want to do it through flash drive, which would be cheaper, or if I want a whole bunch of photocopies and then put them in the mail by registered mail to show them that I'm serious. Yeah. And maybe 1 or 2 or 3. Maybe it will come to me in 3s. Maybe that's why 3 men, 1, 2, 3. Maybe 3 will come back to me and will help me. Will actually freaking help me. And we can put Uncle John to rest. We can put Shimei to rest. We can put Sierra to rest. Heck, we can even put Auntie Joan to rest. You know what I'm saying? Considering what happened to her in that care ward. And we could make it where Amari actually can have a little bit of justice for what he didn't get when he was born. Okay? Being that his mother was turned away from the hospital for 2 days in a row over a 5-day period of being in labor. And then he comes out like the way he did. Okay. How come they didn't test the baby's heart rate? How come they didn't test to see how much amniotic fluid was in her stomach? How come they didn't? Why did they send her home with freaking morphine? And just said, go home. Right? Because she didn't have no tests. They didn't test the baby's heart rate. They didn't test to see how much amniotic fluid she had. Nothing. It was her first pregnancy. To term, that is. Right? You don't treat first-time mothers like that. Mm-mm. Gang stalking is real. Uncle John gets medically kidnapped, and I get gang stalked over the yard. Mm-hmm. And I was already working in the yard in 2017. I'm pretty sure I was getting ready to work in the yard in 2015, right? Or maybe I was already working in the yard. I'm not stupid. I've been working in this yard. That's all I've been doing in this yard is working in this yard. Okay, so I'm going to end this video. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm feeling very inspired by Uncle John. I'm so proud of him for telling me to fight for him and to not give up. Yeah, I am. Because that's all he could do at that time. But if he wouldn't have said that to me, I don't think I'd have the fortitude to have that spirit after all these years like I have it today. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I'm not quite done this video yet. I went back into 2015. Can you see this? City getting us evicted. September 25th of 2015. All right. Okay. All right. But they came in sooner than that. But whatever it was that I was working on wasn't working fast enough. All right. Got that whip on my back. So we're going to take it down to February after Uncle John got medically kidnapped. Because I'm pretty sure it started up in March. And then they put the heat on me to work me harder in September. I was out there in November in the yard. Okay, so here we go. Let's see. Let me find it. Hold on a minute. Okay, so now I'm in 2015 trying to figure out, you know, when the shit hit the fan with the whip on my back, and I'm like, I don't know. Things aren't adding up. I think some videos might be missing. Nah. But maybe. So I pulled out a printout that I did years ago. Now, of course, we know I struggle with my eyes, people. Anyway, YouTube staff, and they've done it before, I've mentioned it before, where they removed video, they just removed it. They never gave me a notification, none of that crap. Okay? When it came to that Project Bluebeam, remember? Do you see this one right here? It says, what would John want? March 8th of 2015. Okay? It was published, I can't see very well with the, you know, I have to switch my glasses around, right? But whatever, I'll deal with it. It was published, here, I can look maybe through the screen. Okay, let's see. I have this one, Not Afraid. I just listened to it. I don't know. And then it goes, John's paperwork, 2 dead chickens, because I had chickens, because my landlord gave me his chickens and the raccoons were attacking them. Right? May 8th. It was published, March. It was done March 6th. That was right. But it was published on May 8th of 2015, so it says. The next one is, what would John want? March 8th, 2015, published March 9th, 2015. I'm pretty sure that says 9th. But when we go to my channel, into my content, whatever, it's gone. It's not here. No. Why? Why is it not here? I would not have removed it. Somebody else removed it. Why? Okay, so here we've got things people don't value. March 12th of 2015. Published date. Do you see that? March 12th of 2015. These ones, needless to say, are broken. But besides that point, John's paperwork. What would John want? Here we go. things people don't value. All right, so we've got this one, things people don't value. It says March 12th, 2015, which is lining up with this. Now, I can't see with these glasses on, so I have to change my glasses. That's just the way it goes, right? That's how people fuck with you, right? They just know that it's getting harder and harder for you, so that's when they come and they do stupid shit like this. All right, so things people don't value, March 12th of 2020, published date, so that's matching up, right? You can see. Okay, we're at the end of the page. Now we're going to go to the next page, which should be the first one on top, where the video that I'm saying is missing is not there. It's been removed. Which now makes me think I need to find it. See? It's not here. It should be right here. John's paperwork, 2 dead chickens. Okay? What's the date on it? March 6th, right? Published. It says on March 8th. Okay? That's the published date, right? So it says. Okay? Okay. But you bring it here. Like, this makes me sick. YouTube is just such a shady fucking site, man. I tell you. It really is. Where were we? Okay. Not afraid. John's paperwork. What would John want? Which it's not coming up. Right? March 9th. It says here it was published on, well, yeah, it was published on March 9th. Where's my finger? What would John want? Oh. Streamed. That's why we can't find it. Okay. 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 Alright. I'd have to go to live streams to find it. So, you got to keep that in mind. So maybe that's why it's not there. Because they put... I got to change these glasses again. Because they put all your live streams within live. So it should be in there. So, what we're going to do, we're going to open up another browser, because I got a whole bunch of them going in here. Right? I guess we go to content. Sorry about that. Live stream. What I'm looking for I can't find. So we need to find 2015. It should be in here. Right, it's 18. Okay, and it was in March, right? Because I'm trying to figure out when the city of Surrey showed up in, here we go. What would John want? There it is, problem solved.